It's live on KEXP, and I'm your host, Troy Nelson, from listener-powered independent 90.3 FM KEXP, broadcasting live in Seattle and streaming 24/7 at kexp.org and our free mobile apps. And these live performances are made possible by people like you. So thank you so much for supporting KEXP. I am very lucky because I am in the KEXP live room with a band I have been listening to since my childhood, and they are still sounding fantastic. And I'm talking about the legendary Teenage Fanclub. And Teenage Fanclub, if you're ready, take it away.
Celebrate your random stay.
You're listening to Teenage Fan Club right here, 90.3 KEXP.
Watch
Yes. Classic. Teenage Fanclub live here on KEXP. Wow. I mean, I've been listening to this band since my childhood, and you still, all these years later, sound fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Well, thanks very much for inviting us to come along. We're really happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, the new album, Nothing Lasts Forever. Teenage Fanclub seems to last forever.
Still plugging away.
Still
32 years after, I think 34 years.
35, I think. No.
35 years.
Wow.
After our first record.
Yeah. That's amazing. And, like I say, still making great albums all these years later. And we'll talk a little bit more about your latest album and tour. But I want to mention that you are one of those bands that have the rare distinction of having not only a decades-long solid catalog, but also you have an album that is considered a classic album with 1991's Bandwagon-esque. I mean, it's up there with other classic albums like the Jesus and Mary Chain Psycho Candy, My Bloody Valentine's Loveless. I mean, can you tell me how it feels, because I will never experience this, to see something that you made so long ago have all this love around it all these years later?
I don't know. What do you think? It's kind of difficult to... difficult for us to think about it as being a classic album because it's just something that we made a long time ago. But we obviously can tell by the way that people react to the songs that it means something for them. Mm-hmm. And actually... I guess recently we've had a lot of younger people coming to the shows who have maybe discovered our music through their parents' love of our music and maybe through that album. So, I think we're just amazed that we're still here. Yeah. And making records.
Yeah. At the time you were making Bandwagon-esque, you were like, well, we made another record. That's
pretty
what
much
you thought.
That. You work from record to record. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely timeless and still making timeless music. And speaking of that album, I bought this CD single for the song What You Do to Me. And for decades, I've had questions about, do you remember where that image of this cover came from? Is that Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had there used to be a body attached to that, which had a piece of string, and then you pulled the body, and Casper would say, "I'm a friendly ghost," and 2 or 3 other things. Unfortunately, I lost the rest of Casper, but I kept the head.
So this is something that you own.
Yeah, it's a sort of collage there, which we took months to put together. Actually, about half an hour, because we were desperate for a record sleeve.
Right.
And so we chucked that together.
Well, also on this CD single, with singles back then, they would always add a song or maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if you ever still play your Madonna cover of Like a Virgin, because it's one of my favorite covers.
Yeah, I think we did it when we recorded it, and that's been...
Yeah, we did a night of covers. Yeah. We finished Bandwagon-esque early, and we did a night of covers. Thankfully, I hope none of them will be released.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's all sorts of things on there. But so that's the only time we probably ever performed that. And still there.
Wow. I love it. So, Norman, technically, the first show that you were ever at was Tom Jones and the Kinks in Blackpool Pier, but you were only 2 years old.
I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
I've since discovered it was the Village Green Preservation Society period. I can't remember any of it. But I was there. Yeah.
And but the first band that you really saw once you were a little older was the Wombles.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who the hell is the Wombles?
Yeah, sure. So there was a TV show when we were kids called The Wombles. And so there was a guy called Mike Batt did the music for that show. But they were these kind of big, hairy sort of, I don't know what you would call them. They weren't sort of like, not gerbils, bigger than that. Anyway, they lived on Wimbledon Common in London, and they would pick up litter. But the band were really the song, so they ended up putting out singles for this, the Wombles, and they were really great songs. But I think Chris Spedding, the punk rock guitar player, I think he was one of the Wombles. He wore the suit.
Wow.
That was just a sort of childhood thing. People in the UK know who the Wombles are.
I was going to say, I don't think the Wombles made it over here.
Didn't travel.
Yeah. I've never heard of them. And even if you just Google image them, I was looking at images and like, what am I looking at here? Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's go way back into your musical journey. At one point, you did a bit of busking with Douglas Stewart and Sean Dixon, and then snapped to the formation of Teenage Fanclub in the late 80s in Scotland. Everything is very DIY. And is it true that, Raymond, you inherited a washing machine and a refrigerator from your neighbor and sold them to help fund the first record?
That is absolutely true. Unusually for things that are on publicly available on the internet, that is actually true.
That's how DIY. You just had to, you inherited this refrigerator?
Elderly neighbour kindly left me these domestic appliances, and we put them to good use. Not washing clothes, but making a record.
Oh, they served a multi-purpose. And then Teenage Fanclub gets to fly to the United States for the first time and play your first show in New York City. How in the world did you get to have your first U.S. show at the legendary CBGBs?
Well, what happened was we had a friend in Glasgow, a guy called Stephen Pastel, who plays in the band called, I think he called the Pastels over here. He was friendly with Gerard Cosloy, who was at Homestead Records at the time, but who was in the process of setting up a new label, Matador Records. And so we flew over for the launch night of Matador at CBGB's. And so the bill was, well, actually, we were on Merge now, and Superchunk were on the bill that night. So that was the first time we met them. Urge Overkill, Railroad Jerk, who were on the label as well. So yeah, but that was our first experience of the US being over here. So.
Wow, we have a Matador connection then. I lived in New York City in 1999, and I was an intern at Matador Records.
There you go.
I made, they gave me $6.30 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, so it didn't even get me
That's more
home.
than we got.
Yeah.
Only kidding.
I couldn't even get home with that money. But I was also just starting out, and I was like clipping articles out of newspapers of their bands and putting them together. And they were lovely people, sweet people,
no,
and a wonderful record label.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how, it sort of grew and to be what it is.
And you got
today,
to see the beginnings.
We were there right at the start.
Wow. Yeah, your history is just fascinating. And there you are, smack dab in the middle of the historical 90s music explosion. And you get to tour with Nirvana at the height of Nevermind. I want to know what it was like to see a band like Nirvana go from nothing to everything while simultaneously Kurt Cobain publicly saying that Teenage Fanclub is one of the best bands in the world. What was it like to be in that sort of tornado?
Well, we kind of met them before that, but we sort of were witness to the phenomenon because we did the European leg of the Nevermind tour. But some of the best memories we have from that are when we were just hanging out with those guys. I've got a memory of us being in Stockholm and all, being in a kids' park eating ice cream. It's not particularly rock and roll, but that's what we were doing. We were just sort of hanging out, and we had a great time. But like I said, we got to witness that. It was something else. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of memories of that time, we have another connection. My current landlord, who is also my ex-stepfather-in-law, I'm still really close with my ex-wife. His name is Barrett Jones, and he went on that European tour, that European Nirvana Teenage Fanclub tour with you, and he was working for Nirvana as Dave's drum tech, and he told me that you all went to the ABBA Museum in Sweden.
We did. So that would be the same. And
Yeah, they wanted to go and see ABBA memorabilia, so we all went together.
Yeah. And then Barrett texted me a photo from backstage at some festival, and I wanted to hand this to you, Norman, and let me know who you see in this photo.
Okay, sure thing. Let's have a look here. Okay, well, I can see we're all there. There's Craig. There's Dave Grohl. There's Big John from The Exploited. Everett True. There's Chris, and there's, who else is there? And all sorts of folk in there. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, he texted me that, and I printed it out and wanted to show it to you.
Do you know, I've actually still, so Jerry from the band there, I've still got that laminate. We had the little laminate thing, and I've still got that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, if you don't mind showing the camera.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there we are.
Absolutely. Cool. And you can have that. I printed multiple ones.
Great. Fabulous. Thank you.
And throughout the years, you've collaborated with some amazing artists. You've worked with Frank Black of the Pixies, toured with Radiohead for their OK Computer tour, and you got to play shows with one of your musical heroes, Alex Chilton of Big Star. Yet we have another connection. A dear longtime friend of mine is Michael Lerner of Telekinesis, who sat in on a...
Michael is a de facto member of the band. He's the only U.S. citizen that's been a member of Teenage Fanclub. There you go.
Awesome. And I'm just curious, outside of everybody that I just mentioned, who also have you worked with or met that was monumental?
Okay. Well, personally, I did a tour with Daniel Johnston.
Wow.
And that was a lot of fun. Jad Fair, who's a good friend of ours, was on that tour. Mark Linkous was there. Oh. James McNew from Eula Tango, Scout Niblet. We were kind of the band. And her drummer, Christian. But that was a lot of fun. In fact, actually, I've got on this tour with me, Daniel used to have this little collapsible guitar thing that one night I think he broke a string, so I gave him my acoustic guitar, and I was thinking of a way I could, commemorate the tour or whatever. And so I got him to sign it. So I've got Daniel's signature on the guitar. But that was a lot of fun and amazing.
Yeah, I'm a huge Daniel Johnston fan. I consider him one of the greatest songwriters.
Oh, really
of all
incredible.
time.
Yeah, really incredible.
Wow, that's fascinating. All these years later, making all these fantastic records, let's talk about the latest album real quick. And it's getting great reviews across the board. And here you are all these years later, and people are still just loving Teenage Fanclub. Was there any firsts in the recording process this time, or did you approach the new material in any different way than you have in the past?
I don't know. Can you think of anything that
funnily enough, when we make a record, let's say when we were making the Nothing Lasts Forever album, it feels, whenever we go to the start of that process, it feels the same as it did in 1989 when we recorded A Catholic Education. We kind of try and do the same thing, but we have like zero preamble to what we're going to do. We just set up and start playing and just see what happens. So we like to try not spoil any spontaneity by too much narrative or something about what we're going to do. We just kind of do it.
Right. And for this new one, you didn't have to sell any refrigerators or washing machines?
No, we didn't. Yeah.
We did have Negronis. We got into a Negroni thing. So every night after we finished recording, all of us would have a Negroni. The album before was cider because we were recording in the south of France. And the Bandwagon-esque was Newcastle Brown Ale because it was cheap. And so an alcohol theme going through.
I was going to say, the drinks are getting fancier.
They are, yeah.
Yes. Well, once again, Teenage Fanclub, thank you for taking the time to be here with us in the KEXP Live Room.
It was a pleasure, thank you.
Yes, and please come back.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome. Once again, you've been listening to Teenage Fanclub live on KEXP.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.